Welcome back, coaches. Today we got a great guest for you, hailing from DePauw University, Coach Mason Espinosa. Coach, introduce yourself to our audience and give us a little bit of insight as to who are some of your big influences in coaching.
For everyone that doesn't know me, I'm Mason Espinosa. I'm the offensive coordinator at DePauw University. We're a small liberal arts college, about 35 minutes west of the Indianapolis airport. So we're kind of in the middle of Indianapolis, Chicago. Uh, this is my fourth season here. It's been an absolute blast. I'm really fortunate to be able to work with great coworkers and great kids. So we've been real fortunate. We've won 4 straight conference championships. We're working every day to try to continue to better ourselves and get better and pursue the next one. So that's kind of where we're at right now. A little bit about me in my background. Like I said, this will be my 4th season here. Before that, I was in high school football. I coached a year at Worcester High School in Worcester, Ohio. Before that, I was at Denison University for 4 or 5 seasons, depending on how you count COVID. And then before that, I was at G8 at Defiance College near Toledo. Before that, I played college football at Ohio Wesleyan. I played quarterback there. So in between all that, I played 7 seasons, again, depending on how you count COVID, of arena indoor football. A lot in my 11 years of being graduated. I've had a lot of football in those 11 years, which has been a blast. It's definitely my thing. I'm passionate about it. So as far as influences go, for me, I think there's 2 kind of categories, at least when I see it. It's like guys you watch on TV and you think it's really cool with you. You kind of want to emulate a little bit, but you're not really sure, how or if that fits in what you do. Right. That one for me would be like a Lincoln Riley, for example, would be a great one where, dude, I just love watching his offense work. I think he's really creative. I think he does a great job coaching the quarterback position. He does a great job making it very clean and very clear for quarterbacks. I think the proof's in the pudding with kind of all the success he's had over the course of his career. Don't know him personally. If I went and saw him in the street, he'd be like, "Who the heck are you, dude?" But I do like watching him for sure. The ones that are personal to me that I know are the ones that are really are important to me, right? I think there's a couple of them. One, the guy I worked for, he was offensive coordinator at Denison when I was there. I went with him to Worcester High School when he got the Worcester High School job. He's now a head coach in the conference, so he's going to be a rival this year. It's going to be the first time I'm going to be coaching against him. His name's Austin Holter. He's really where I learned a lot, right? When you're in college and playing, you don't really know what the heck you're doing, man. We're just trying to throw to open guys, right? Like I didn't really understand football and the intricacies and what it took, right? And he was really patient with me and kind of did a great job taking me under his wing and teaching me a lot and giving me the confidence to explore and grow. He gave me my first coordinator job at Worcester High School. I was his receivers and then quarterbacks coach at Denison. And I followed him to Worcester, and he really pumped a lot of confidence in me to, dude, don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to fail. And he's been an excellent mentor and friend for me. I'm sad that he's in the conference because I can't call him and bounce ideas off him anymore. But I guess it had to end sometime. So he's one. The other one that's been really as beneficial or impactful to me is our head coach Brett Dietz. Right. So Coach Dietz was my exact job before me. So he was offensive coordinator at DePauw for about a decade. Before he got the head job right when COVID hit. I think he literally got the job like the day COVID went crazy. So it's been an unbelievable experience outside of my original coaching tree, getting to know somebody that's an unbelievable offensive mind that's now in a head coaching role. So he probably doesn't do as much football as he wants to right now. Right. So I can go in his office at any time and be like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Right. And I can count on him to give me his honest opinion of like, "Hey, that's really dumb." Or, "Hey, you know what? You got something there." Or, "Hey, let's try it." And I think that relationship has been incredibly important and beneficial for me because when he hired me in 2022, he really took a chance on a guy who had really only called 1 year of offense at the high school level. And I kind of didn't know what I didn't know. And it was a lot of learning on the fly and learning on the job. And he was really patient with me and to the point where we're at now where we have a great relationship where he can be the head coach and hopefully turn some offensive responsibilities over to me where he doesn't have to worry about it as much.
Now, for somebody who's never seen your offense before, How would you describe the way your offense operates? What kind of style is it? I know for me, I just certainly was looking through different kind of clips I could find on YouTube and coaches out there. If you guys want to look at how this looks in motion and how everything kind of fits together, I would strongly encourage you to check out some of their games on YouTube. You can just see the games in its full game tape and in its full film. But Coach, how would you describe what your offensive style is like to somebody who's never seen your offense before?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, uh, what our big thing that we say is we're a spread offense with a hardball mentality, right? So we're going to be a team that's going to uh, live 10, 11, 12 personnel, right? This past year, I think we're almost, 70% 11 personnel, depending on how you slice it there. We'll sprinkle in some 10, really sprinkle in some 12 in the red zone and short yardage. But at the end of the day, we're trying to stretch teams horizontally to attack them vertically, right? That's our thing. We're always looking to gain explosives. We count our explosives every week, runs of 12 plus, passes of 20 plus. And we just think that if you spread a team out horizontally, that is the easiest way to get grass to be able to generate those explosives, whether it's in the run or the pass, right? Now, that's not to say we won't do some condensed stuff and try to take advantage of space that way. 100% we will. But at our core, what you're going to see is that kind of offense that is looking to gain space, to make it clean and decisive for the quarterback. And you're going to see an offense that's having a ton of fun, right? I think that's something that uh, hopefully as you watch the film there, I find myself chuckling and laughing at our guys. Dude, football's fun, man. Like we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't fun, right? And I think we have a lot of joy. That doesn't mean we're not competitive, hyper competitive. Everything we do is going to be a competition. There's going to be winners and losers, just like there is in life, right? But that doesn't mean you can't have fun doing it, right? There's time to work, there's time to have fun, and I think you're hopefully on this film you're going to see the joy that our guys play with, and I think that's hopefully if you're just watching a film, watching a game of us, I hope you feel that through the screen is that man, these guys love playing football, they're knowledgeable on the game, and they're flying around having a blast, and hopefully scoring a lot of points.
Building off that a little bit, Coach, what would be considered a day one install for you guys?
Yeah, we keep it really simple on day one. So we're a no huddle based team, right? That doesn't mean we are Ole Miss, Tennessee, or we're trying to snap it in under 10 seconds, right? But we do no huddle, right? So we do have a little bit of tempo about us, right? So we do spend a lot of day one working on that, right? Of hey, get into the line. This is what it looks like. This is how you line up. This is our cadence, right? As far as the schematics of it, we're going to pound inside zone, right? All of day one's going to be inside zone, not because we think it's the greatest scheme in the world, just because it is the largest canvas for what we do as far as RPO play action world. So we need a great base of inside zone, really to expand elsewhere in our offense, to tell you the truth. Uh, so inside zone, all those tags that go with the inside zone on the film, you're going to see same side zone, split zone. You're going to see opposite side split zone. You're going to see zone lead, right? You're going to see zone bluff. Actually, I don't know if you see it on the film or not, but all those tight end kind of 11 personnel tags, those all go in day one, so we can start working on it. And then we get into our quick game stuff, right? Generally, we're setting up for later down the road for our second and third level RPOs, right? Our fade outs, our hitch fade, our hitch steam, right? Our stick routes, all the stuff everyone in the country has. And then four verticals, just because I'm a former quarterback and I hate being day one and having fade out and I got to throw it for 97 reps on day one of practice. That's not fun for anyone. I want to air it out a little bit. So that'll be us, and we'll pound those three things, those three things pretty hard.
All right, Coach. Now, one of the things we talked about, prior to getting on here was talking about how do you structure your practice to make sure that your quarterback and your backup quarterback have enough reps to make sure that both are confident in the event your starting quarterback goes down. And we kind of went back and forth on what is the perfect number of reps and how do you structure practice. And I don't know if it's an exact science. I mean, you have the Peyton Manning approach where, like the Colts, when they had Peyton Manning, they gave him all the reps because if something were to happen to him, they probably weren't going to win anyway. So their philosophy was there's no time investing in the backup quarterback. That's not the reality for a lot of high school programs, college programs, and even many professional programs. So building off that thought, what is in your mind, what's the ideal approach to take when developing a system in which you may not need a ton of reps for that backup to feel confident. For example, if you teach a lot of same as type of concepts. So with that in mind, what are some of the ways in which you create same as type of concepts or create a system in which any quarterback that performs would be able to perform with a high level amount of confidence?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good question. Uh, Again, I think it's largely about building that relationship with them and knowing what they can handle and what they can't, right? Some people like I've had it in my career where, man, the dang backup quarterback might be smarter than the starter. He's just not as talented, right? And he can handle that stuff. So I think largely it's about your guy, right? Who he is and what he can handle. Uh, I think as far as keeping a lot of the stuff same as, right? I think that largely comes down to the structure, maybe of how you call your offense, right? In the sense of, hey, listen, these are non-negotiables, right? Like if you hear this word, we are reading the Sam. If you hear this word, we are reading the boundaries. If you hear this word, we are reading the mic, right? And being able to beat that in from day one, day two, day three, so when they get thrown in week 8 in a situation that might be difficult, right? It's okay, man, I'm used to these calls, right? Or even if it's a new game plan call, man, I've heard that body of water, for example. That's the example we used earlier. I've heard that body of water term before, right? It's just a little bit different. This was a game plan one, right? Oh, I remember that now. It means slant bubble, right? So now I'm going to take advantage of it. So that way you're not just purely. I know me because I'm not good at it. I hate purely memorization. It's like, oh, you got to remember, that we call this Dallas because I don't know, because it's called Dallas. Well, what happens when you install San Antonio? You know what I mean? I got to remember a whole new thing. It's like, well, no, let's categorize this stuff, right? So that way, when we do something new, you can go, okay, well, oh, it's like this. Oh yeah, I remember it now. Let's play ball, right? Beyond your base stuff, which obviously they should be repping a ton anyway.
Coach, what are some of your non negotiables when it comes to quarterback play?
Uh, that's a good question. On the field or off the field?
Both.
That's a good question. Uh, I heard a great, uh, not heard. I obviously when I was younger, I did the quarterback circuit and the training and the camps, like a lot of young men are doing right now. And there's one line that always stuck with me. There was at Chad Pennington's camp. If anyone remembers Chad Pennington, talk about an old school name. But he always talked about you got to be as a quarterback, you got to be of the group, but you got to be above the group, right? In the sense where I'm raising uh, the dynamics of the room as I come into the room, right? It's the same. Some people say, hey, be the thermostat, not the thermometer, right? Set the temperature of the room, right? Don't show the temperature. Don't reflect the temperature of the room, right? And I think more so than off the field non-negotiables, right? I think those are the kind of guys that you have to have. That's going to be your signal caller, right? That's going to be, and he doesn't have to be goody two shoes, Kirk Cousins. That's not what I'm saying, right? But he's got to have a guy with enough teeth that guys listen to him, right? And they want to play hard for him, right? But also has to have enough sense where they can be an extension of you. If they see something going on in your locker room or on the field, right? They can correct it, they can fix it, and you might not even know about it, right? That to me would be kind of off the field as far as what we're looking for, right? We don't do receivers or quarterbacks or anybody. We don't do finger pointing. We don't do name calling. We don't do any of that. Quarterback, at the end of the day, it's always my fault. Always, right? I don't care if you do. It doesn't matter if you ran the wrong route. That's not the problem. That we can solve that later, right? You need to take ownership of it right now. We need to move on collectively to go win this football game, and then we can talk to the receiver in film, or I can correct him on the headset, right? And I think that becomes particularly important. On the field, I think all great quarterbacks, regardless of level, have two common kind of denominators, if you will. It doesn't matter if it's middle school, high school, college, professional. Uh, I think they're all great decision makers. They're decisive and they're accurate. Mm-hmm. If you're decisive and you're accurate, you can play the quarterback position. Whatever your superpower is beyond that, you see even as you watch on Sundays, every single one of those NFL quarterbacks has a different superpower. Josh Allen plays different than Patrick Mahomes, that plays different than Aaron Rodgers, that plays different than all these guys. They all have their different superpowers: arm strength, the ability to create, ability to run. Lamar Jackson, right, can fly, but they're all incredibly decisive. They're great decision makers, and they're all accurate, right? They can throw the ball through the doorknob and turn the key, if you will. And I think relative to your competition level, right? If you have a guy that has both of those things, he can play quarterback, in my opinion.
Now, Coach, if you were to hop on, X or any other type of social media right now, there is a debate going on whether or not, pure progression is the right way to teach quarterback play when it comes to, constructing concepts and things of that nature. You got some people who believe in, reading the number of safeties and creating concepts that have one high beaters on one side, two high on another. Then you have other people who subscribe to the defender read, where you read solely a defender and then make that person wrong by putting them in conflict. When it comes to your view on how to properly construct a passing game for a quarterback to be successful, do you think majoring in one of these approaches, whether it be pure progression or anything else, is the correct approach? Or do you think there needs to be a healthy balance between all of them when constructing a proper passing attack?
I really do believe they all of them have a place, and to tell you the truth, I think a lot of them, a combination of them, might be necessary, right? I just feel like just like every athlete has a different throwing motion, right? Every pitcher has a different pitching motion, right? Every quarterback has a different brain, right? Every quarterback processes things a different way, right? It's the same reason why when we're installing, right, you teach it, you walk through, you do it in a group setting, you do it in a team setting. You're teaching four different ways, right? Because everyone learns a little differently. I think it's the same thing with quarterback play, just amplified. I think you got to be able to do both, right? I think you have to be able to. I know the example was like, hey, curl, like just an old school curl flat concept, right? Hey, I'm going to go ahead and teach a key defender read, a stress defender read, whatever you want to call it, and I'm also going to teach a pure progression because it takes no extra time, right? Hey, listen, guys, I'm in a group of 7. Listen, some of you guys are key defenders, some of you are pure progression. I'm going to teach them both, and it's up to you with how that clicks in your brain, right? So when I'm installing it, hey, the key defender here, the guy in stress is that Sam linebacker, right? Make him wrong. If he goes to the flat, throw the curl. If he goes to the curl, throw the flat. If he lives in the gray, make him pay to the flat, right? Okay, pure progression wise, well, guess what? You're looking 1 to 2. You're looking curl to flat, right? And then you're kind of your tertiary option there. So I think there's room, and I think a lot of times it's necessary to do both, especially if you have a larger quarterback room. If you have a 2 to 3 guy quarterback room and you can talk through them all and be able to know how all their brains work and they're all kind of on the same page, that you might be able to get away with cheating it there. But once you get above that, everyone's brain is so different. And all great quarterbacks, there's no one's better than the other. It's just different how everybody works, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, Coach, from watching your tape, I do see that you guys run a fair amount of RPOs and you're very successful with it. And depending on who you talk to, there's a lot of coaches out there who think that, RPOs are really starting to replace quick game and that, quick game might be dead. I guess let's have you weigh in on this. Coach, is quick game dead?
I'm here to tell you it is necessary, alive, and has a place. Uh, I'm not saying, right, if you look at our breakdown, we are going to have more RPO than quick game for sure, right? Uh, in fact, one of our top plays uh, was like QB draw RPO with quick game on the outside, right? Quarterback counting box numbers, making an easy hitch throw or running the ball, right? But we have, particularly in this past year, have kind of gone back to old school and done some true, hey, one step quick game. Uh, really is a lot of rhythm throws, to tell you the truth, right? There's something, in my opinion, about playing the quarterback position that, man, I can put one foot to the ground, I can make one guy wrong, and I can fire the rock. There's a comfort level to that, right? So a lot of times we'll use those as drive starters, start a game, start a half, right? We'll use those kind of there. And also it's a way to get your good players the football, to tell you the truth, right? Like, I don't know some systems. I know I've been in systems in the past where we flip here, but like some systems keep their outside receivers like X and Z one side or another.
Mm-hmm.
Well, dang, man, your X may be way better than your Z. What if you're stuck on the right hash, right? Well, that's where some of your quick game, maybe like a double slant, right? Some slant bubble, some stuff to get your good player the football out on the field without having to like throw a big vertical knockdown. I think there's some room in there to be able to do some stuff like that where it has, in my opinion, there's a place for it for sure.
Now, one of the things we've talked about today and also off air is about the importance of explosive plays. So, when you're crafting your offense, or if you were to give advice to an aspiring coordinator or an experienced one, how do you manufacture explosive plays within your offense?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I do think first and foremost, it's a little counterintuitive, but it starts in the run game. Uh, because as you're looking at explosives, right, a lot, at least for us, right, it's really, don't get me wrong, it's really cool to dial up a really cool concept and throw a 45-yard post over the top and, feel really cool, right? Is that sustainable offense? Unless you're way better than the other team, probably not, right? So a lot of your explosives are coming from intermediate RPOs, catching the ball on the move, right? Whether that be from the field side one, the boundary side one, all this stuff, right? Or being able to attack the ball or run the ball vertically while stretching a team horizontally. All that play action, all that RPO, if you don't run the football at a high level, it's not going to work. It's just not. So it's finding what you're good at in the run game. We turn out being a zone team. That doesn't mean everyone will be, right? And that really has what we've been able to do to kind of explore and be able to work and manufacture explosives, right? Because at the end of the day, if you don't give us enough in the box, we feel really confident with our back and our offensive line that we can run our inside zone, right? And our quarterback can read the RPO correctly, right? And we're going to gash you with an explosive that's 12 plus, right? And so that's one way. I think the other way too is just formationally for us, right? Being able to stretch those teams out, like we said, stretch them out horizontally to attack them vertically, right? Whether that be in the run game or the pass game, there's just a lot of space out there to cover. I've never coached in Division I or the SEC, so I can't really speak for that, but I do know small college and high school, right? It's really hard to find 4 players in the secondary who can cover space, right? So our big job as us as a coach is finding who's going to have trouble covering that space. Let's put whatever he struggles with, whether it's size or speed, right? And let's spread everyone out and make him as isolated as possible and really attack that one-on-one matchup. I think that would be kind of our other way besides just dialing up a big fat, post or whatever it is.
So now you guys have been an inside zone based offensive operation for the last couple of years. And you guys have various ways in which you'll complement your inside zone. And, you run some split zone stuff. You guys run a variation of inside zone, a variety of different ways. So with that being said, what are some of the ways you guys take that inside zone scheme and then complement it? What are some of the other plays that you guys use off it? Or are you guys solely just an inside zone scheme based team and that's all that you guys run?
So when we install, in the first week, we're going to go inside zone, outside zone, counter, right? That's our gap scheme, and tackle, wrap, or dart, depending on, your vernacular of it. Those are kind of our 4, right? And then we get into some draw stuff because it ties into our quick game, right? But as far as like pure running the football, firing off the ball, those would be our 4 schemes kind of in that order. Inside zone has just been our one because it does have the most, like we said, our kind of RPO carryover there. But we have been particularly good at outside zone. That's going to be largely dependent on, hey, how athletic are your linebackers, right? We have different ways to block it, whether we're going to take the tight end and steal the box and crack the, safety or all that stuff and run on the corner, right? Or if we're going to stretch it out, if they can't run and let that tight end go take the Sam and bypass the safety and all that stuff. That's all kind of largely dependent on kind of if those backers can run. And then obviously you got to have a gap scheme that gets downhill, right? And we've been very blessed to have some pretty good guards that are really good at kicking out over the last few years. And if we're really, really pounding the rock at a high level, like dude ripping chunks, most of the time that's when we got counter rolling. Just because, again, that's another one where maybe less, of the play action stuff, but very much kind of an RPO kind of friendly kind of scheme there. We're not really much of a power team. If you go back and look at the last 3 years, you're not going to see much power. It's not a bad scheme, right? It just doesn't fit our players very well, right? We have a tight end that's particularly good at wrapping on backers. Just kicking out a first level defender is not really his game, and we have big guards, right? And kind of wrapping and getting up vertical, it just kind of got messy. So, not saying we won't do it in the future, not saying something we're not exploring, but over the last 3 years, our personnel's dictated that we just ran counter, and that was just our gap scheme, and we just did it a million different ways.
Now, one of the trends that we've been seeing, especially in our area, you've seen it also kind of work its way around different levels of football, is just this difference in how coverages are now being structured. You go at the higher levels, it's a lot of manipulation and disguise as long as you possibly can. We saw a big trend in match quarters for a long period of time. You've seen like a revolution and a renaissance, if you will, of cover three as of late. And then you've also seen this, three safety approach, or having multiple safeties in the middle of the field. And so with all that being said, there's so many different trends going on. Let's just focus solely on the three safety approach. If you were seeing and talking to somebody for the first time saying, how do I attack this three safety approach? What's the advice you would give them on where to start and how to build an effective attack against a three safety defense?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's exactly what you're saying. It's funny. I was just having this conversation with offensive line coach the other day. Man, everybody, it was literally like 7-8 years ago. Everybody was quarters. Like everyone was match quarters, like all that stuff. And then now all of a sudden, like two things we see kind of cycling back or one high, whether it's cover three or cover one, and odd front. I feel like every new coordinator that comes into at least in our area, I feel like they have some background in odd front. We feel like we see that a lot. And that three high stuff is definitely starting to permeate kind of our level. And that's interesting, right? That's something new. And, I think defensive coordinators are getting tired of getting called at. So they're trying to throw us a little bit of curveball. And I appreciate them doing that because that's what makes football fun. I would say this, at least me, without kind of really digging into it to a team, because I know everybody's a little bit different. Right. What I'm always looking for, no matter what the defense is like, dude, who's the seventh hat in the run? Right. Like, who's that seventh hat and where does he come from and where is he fitting and how are they trying to funnel the ball to him? Right. It doesn't matter if it's cover one, cover three, cover four, cover either three high. It doesn't matter. Right. All of those varying coverages have different answers of, hey, who's the extra hat that's got to make the hit? Right. And therefore, okay, well, how are their ends playing now? Are they spilling or are they framing? Okay, well, they're framing to this side, right? Because they don't have an extra over here. But they're spilling to this side because they have an extra over here, right? And if you start, in my opinion, you start thinking of that, like who's the hat you can't block, and how is the defense trying to funnel the ball to that hat? That's where, in my opinion, your world opens up, because then it becomes, okay, well, how can I stick the ball in the belly of the back in play action or an RPO? And how can I put that guy in stress, right? Because, we can go run and do whatever we want on the perimeter, right? And keep our base blocking scheme very simple and very, very clean, right? And make that seventh guy wrong. So I don't know if that's a little bit of a cop-out answer. I didn't really kind of dig into it very much, but, that would be – it doesn't matter if it's three high, it doesn't matter if it's quarters. That's, I think, generally on offense what you got to look at, because – sometimes that seventh hat folds in and makes the hit at 2 yards. And you're like, well, you know what? That one's on me. Like, I got to do something to control that. That's my fault. Right. Everyone else did their job. I didn't do my job in the box,
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's build off of, our last point there, and let's just explore match quarters a little bit. Match quarters a couple of years ago, not many people were running it. They maybe were scared away from it, didn't feel they had the personnel to do it. But now it's becoming a little bit more popular. Defensive coaches are doing a fantastic job of putting their defenses in a very good pattern recognition and match system. So for those who are starting to maybe seek match quarters for the first time, or maybe are just a little bit hesitant on what is the proper approach to attack it, what's been some successful things that either you've employed or you've seen other teams maybe across the country employ when attacking match quarters?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. To me, when and I know a lot of this is another one I learned from Coach Holter. I talked about my mentors earlier. As soon as I see quarters, right, man, we got to see if those safeties can cover, right? Because if you put a really fast slot, and most of the time your speed's in the slot, right? If I get a really fast slot and I get on his toes and I can run a post, I can run a corner, I can run a cop, I can do all that stuff. I mean, matchup quarters is at its core, if you really, it's cover zero. Just a different way of getting to it, right? So if you can get on a safety's toes and run by him in whatever route concept you have, that's the first thing I'm going to test, right? And then, I guess we're getting into it, but like some coordinators, when you're calling against them, you're in that chess match, and you can kind of see when they know that you've got something on them. It's like, man, we can really go at this safety what's their adjustment, right? Is it, hey, they're going to start going one high when speed's in the slot? Hey, is it, if it's from, whatever, they're going to start trying to reroute with the sand, whatever it is, right? And you can generally most of the time find that through film study, so that now you can have a plan for what their answer is. So now you're planning for their answer, and then it just turns into that big week-long chess game that's what we're in coaching for, right? It's a lot of fun there. So that's the first thing. Also, the other thing is quarterback run and SAM RPO, right? That's the other thing. The SAM in match quarters generally is in no man's land, as far as everybody's got to make a decision. Is he going to be a pass player or a run player, right? So that's when you come into the week every week to the quarterbacks and, hey, our SAM RPOs this week are throwing less. Our SAM RPOs this week are running less, right? Because they play their SAM toes over two, or they play their SAM apex, or all that stuff, right? That's generally, and I guess the last thing would be, can their boundary corner cover, right? Because as we know, like match quarters, dude, everyone and their brothers cross keying, right? 3 vertical. Okay, well, if you're going to cross key 3 vertical, your boundary corner, man, he's just living like it's one-on-one as you get, right? And if I throw 5 verticals in the one-on-one to the boundary and we catch 2 of them, that's only 40% completion, but those are 2 explosives for us, right? And that's, kind of the balance that you have to figure out as a coordinator. What are you willing to live with? At what point are you willing to attack that boundary corner? And if it's incomplete, are you okay with it, without putting yourself in a poor position?
All right, Coach, let's transition a little bit into some film. And let's look a little bit first at how you guys build out your RPO system based off of your inside zone attack.
Here it is, right? Kind of later in the game, right? Very similar concept, actually the same exact concept, right? This time we do use that same side inside zone, split zone, right? Kind of look there, if you will. But this time, right, that RPO is live and active based upon where his quarterback's putting his eyes, right? He's putting his eyes right through the outside shoulder of that Mike linebacker, right? He understands that Mike linebacker is working down into the box, right? He kind of takes the cheese on the run fake, right? He should, right? It's a pure RPO kind of look there. Our tackle does a great job of zoning through. You want to talk about a heads-up play from our right tackle here. He does an excellent job at understanding that, hey, the linebacker is taking a step and starting to bail out, right? Well, guess what? I probably shouldn't chase him because we're so RPO heavy in our offense. I need to chill out so I don't get a penalty, right? That's a really heads-up play by that young man there. Our quarterback being decisive and accurate, and the rest is up to our young man catching the football, right? And those are just everybody, all 11 guys doing something, right, within their power, winning their one-on-one matchup, right, to go be successful for us, right? But you can see as we get here to the tight, and this is why I get to the tight so we can really kind of dig in here. The offensive line knows no different, right? They are truly running inside zone, right? They don't know if the ball's going to be given. They don't know if the ball's going to be thrown. Not their problem, right? If the quarterback is pulls and throws and we get a penalty, right, because they're too far down the field, that means my quarterback's late. That's not their problem. I don't need to be worrying about that, even though 62 makes a very heady play. This is the exact reason why, especially when we get in the RPO and play action world, I'm really loving like that front side C-gap defender, that same side kind of zone, not working back across the ball. Just sometimes, especially when you're throwing RPOs over the middle, it becomes particularly difficult to get across and get enough on that end before he gets his hands up in the quarterback's face. I just like him there so he can be kind of take him on the first level, right, and really get those hands down. And you want to talk about, we talked a little bit about quarterback play. Again, this is why I talked to all our guys about. My favorite thing to do is let me look at the picture when our quarterback takes his offhand off the ball, right? Let me see if I can pause it right at it. His offhand is off, right? Everything else, right, is pop time. It's stuff you work in the off season. It's, whatever, camp stuff you work in spring, stuff you do the quarterback trainer. I want to really in the season coach the decision-making, right? And right now, I want to see what picture that he's looking into when he's decided. To me, the quickest way, the easiest way to see when he's decided is when his offhand comes off the ball because he's looking to throw the ball. This is about as dang as good as it gets here because our guy's not even in the screen. We are throwing to spaces. It is our receiver's job to get to that space on time and on target. And if we throw to a space on time and the receiver enters that space on time, that's when good things happen. Stuff like this, right? So that was That was a particularly fun play. That was the first play out of half, right? And then as we, I probably did this the worst way possible, but it's fine. As we get into this was actually a little bit earlier in the game, right? But now we're in the true play action world. To tell you the truth, it looks really, really similar, right? It's just a little bit deeper concept, right? Again, I haven't talked to too many defensive coordinators about it, but I'd be curious to see how they're breaking it down. Whether they're seeing some of this stuff is RPO, some of it is play action, right? Because some of it can kind of get in the muddy area, right? But you can see a much better job of not a better job, a different job from our offensive line of having some awareness that, hey, this is a true play action now, right? As we get to the tight here, right? Being able to work, it's no different now as we get to our inside zone kind of pass protection, right? It is the same responsibility as inside zone, just with no verticality, right? So, for example, my right guard, my right tackle here, right, depending on how you set the point, right? They should be working out. There's should be an overhang back right here they're working out to. His eyes, you'll see 62's eyes peeking out there because that would be his responsibility in that C gap if he were to blitz that C gap, right? Our center and our left guard, right, would in theory right here be zoning to 11, right? This is a really good job by them where, hey, this looks very similar to a first level double team, right? With low hat, just a little bit more passive with 71 very keyed in on 11, right? Because that's his man he would be double teaming to, right? So therefore, if that's my man I'm double teaming to, he's the one that's most likely going to shoot my gap, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if 11 were to disappear and work into the C gap, yes, that does become 62, right? But now you're getting moving parts on a defense. We're stationary, right? We're gap sound. They have moving parts that should be advantage us, and it should keep our quarterback nice and upright. I think that's the beautiful thing, especially about inside zone play action, really, in my opinion, is that you really get a lot of time for your quarterback, especially if you're getting a lot of stunt, pressure, twist, movement, right? Because they're stunning themselves trying to get, these pass-offs messed up, right? And if our guys do a great job of staying disciplined in their zone, in their gap, stuff's going to hit them right in the face, right? And then on the back end, it's just about attacking whatever that you feel that you should be attacking on the defense, right? This team in particular, we felt like the middle of the field was really open, right? Especially when they got in a particular look, right? So we play action hard. They were getting their seventh down through here, right? We get right over the top, where if we get into some other games here, right, with a very, very similar protection, right, we're, hey, high-low in that boundary safety with like an old school post-depot concept, stuff like that. We're attacking the third level of that defense. To us, that generally is kind of how it all marries, and it becomes very, very simple for our offensive line. I think one thing that it predates me. I'm obviously I can't take credit for it there, but I know it's nothing, new. I know a lot of people do it, but we just have a code word in our offense that is going to tag play action, right? And so if we tag that code word, right, we can run any run scheme play action. We don't have to create a new protection, a new number, all this stuff, right? We're just going to go ahead and tag our play action scheme, right? We're going to tag our tag word with our run scheme, and that lets our offensive line know, hey, I want you to run this run scheme, just the play action version of it. I don't need you to get downhill. I don't need you to get down the field, right? I need you to have a little bit more. I hate the word. I know our offensive line coach hates the word passiveness, but I need you to have a little bit a little bit more awareness that you can't get down the field. This is a true pass, right? A true kind of third level kind of pass where we're taking advantage of people down the field.
All right, Coach, you said quick game was alive and well. Let's take a look at some of your clips that you have from your team in the quick game that you guys are employing currently over the last couple of years at DePauw.
Okay. So I think for us here, this one has this kind of concept has been particularly effective. And you asked about the quick game stuff earlier. This is, to tell you the truth, this is kind of our best way to get to the quick game. We'll do some quick game type stuff, a decent amount, right? But this has become one of our favorite ways to do it, right? It's very simple, very clean, and in my opinion, very applicable for high school and small college and even big college. Like I see Ole Miss doing this all the time. They even have a play action bluff off of this, right? So what it is we're going to align whether it's 2x2 or 3x1, right? We can do either, right? And we're going to call our favorite quick game, right? What we're going to do up front is we're going to go ahead and call draw. We're going to call our draw set, okay? Our quarterback's read is very clean, very decisive, right? In the sense where, hey, listen, you are looking for numbers, right? You are looking for, okay, how many do we have over 2, right? Do we have 3 over 2? Okay, I'm going to look to the other side. Do we have 3 over 2? Okay, that means I'm going to one step and run the ball. Okay, if I have 2 over 2 in any capacity, I'm going to truly read the concept, right, and see if I can get a free completion. You're always looking for the completion. We are calling this to throw the football. Okay, this is not if we want to call you on a quarterback draw, we'll just call you on a quarterback draw. We are trying to throw the football, right? But I think one of the downfalls, and it's why quick game is getting maybe a bad rap now, is that, okay, what if I get locked out on my side, coach? Like, what if I'm reading a concept and it doesn't work, right? Well, you tell me not to throw to the other side. What do? Do I just burn it? Well, the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to run the draw, right? So here's a great look at it, right? This is kind of a unique look where they're 3 over 2 to the boundary. I'd say, especially in high school and small college, 80 to 90% of your read is going to go to the boundary. 80-90% of the time, but every so often it will be to the field, right? If they, are in a unique kind of look and coverage and they're trying to get to a particular pressure and stunt here, right? Our quarterback sees it's really 2 over 2 to the field side. So he stands up, he sees a free hitch, right? So on both sides in this particular play, we're running hitch seam, right? Which I'm sure everyone has in their playbook. We also have in the past run like fade out. But we're looking, are they giving me a free completion? If they give me a free completion, if I take it, I'm going to take it. If not, I'm going to pop my feet and I'm going to follow the back, right? This isn't a great it's a great look at the throw, not a great look from the tight because it gets kind of really jumbled up because they're trying to kind of pressure, stunt, twist. That's actually a really good job. Everyone kind of knowing their assignment there. And then, it's about players in space, right? I'm not going to sit here and act like, we're Vince Lombardi or anything. We got really good players and it's fun to coach them. Okay, here's another great look, right? So we're to the point now where, hey, we're looking fade out, right? We have fade out called on both sides, right? He should one step, look, and decide, hey, do I like my vertical or do I like my speed out, right? We have, we got guys really downhill here trying to aggressively get to their kind of man coverage, a cover zero look, if you will, right? I think the quarterback's a little fast here, to tell you the truth. I don't feel like he truly read it, right? But you can see, right, he should one step, he should be ready to throw that quick game. And if it's there, including the vertical ball, take it. We're calling it to throw the quick game, right? But when you do something like this, right, when you pull the ball down and run, right, now you got angles, now you got space, right, because everybody is out. We got full concepts, right? We got a whole secondary with their back turned, right? And we have a nice, clean box here. So you're going to see kind of the way it works as we go here, as long as the wides and the tights. Yeah, there it is. Good. Right. So we manipulated the pass pro here, right? As far as the draw is concerned. So they read it as a bear front. So they went true man on man, 5-man protection, just one-on-one for sure. Our back steps through the A gap. That's his responsibility. You're going to step through the field side A gap, and our quarterback is reading one step. If he doesn't like it, he's going to always follow his back. Now they do have an extra hat here because they're in cover zero, but because he follows his back, right, he gets a big explosive. He should have unhitched the wagon and scored a big one there. Here's another good one. Here's another good look at it, right? This is a great example. This is a senior making a very heady play on, it looks like about 3rd and 5. This is a great 3rd and 5 call because you'd be surprised how many defenses give you a free hitch on 3rd and 5 for a first down, right? So this is kind of a bailout call for us in the sense where, hey, we're going to look and see if they give us a free hitch. If they give us a free hitch, take it. If not, we have a 6-man run scheme called, which really, if you think about it, right, it's kind of a passive zone lead, to tell you the truth, right? And the back's just the lead guy is what it really is, what the zones, it's what our scheme, that our run scheme that's called is, right? So he does a great job here. We have 2 receivers to the boundary, 1, 2, 3 over top of them, 2 receivers to the field, 1, 2, 3 over the top. I guarantee at this point he knows, hey, I'm running the ball. But the difference between this young man that does a great job here and the play before is look at his patience. This play does not work without patience. Even if you know you're not going to throw the ball out there, you need to take your full quick game footwork. You need to punch, plant, throw. You need to sink in. You need to pop your feet, and then you need to follow your back, and there's nothing but space and grass there. And get down. Don't take hits. Nate, love you. I hope he's watching this. Get down. Another good look at it, right? Again, we're in a 10 personnel set that's kind of not unique for us, but we're definitely an 11 personnel team. So a 10 personnel set for a lot of teams did trigger some nickel type stuff, which now became particularly effective. But I mean, that's as clean as you get there, uh, in my opinion. Here's another, again, a really good one. This was in 2022, right? This was a different quarterback, right? Again, he's looking to the boundary. This is a great example of, hey, you have to read it still, right? Because I'll tell you, and I know how we taught this in 22. We told him it was a boundary throw, right? We didn't give him a two-way go, where in the past couple of years we've given him a two-way go. This 3-over-2 over here, right? That should mean to tell me to run the football, right? However, this is why you always read it, because they end up blitzing a will, right? And they give you a free hitch. Dude, don't overthink it. Never pass open guy. If they give you a free hitch, take a free hitch, because that might happen. And that's just really well done by that young man at quarterback there, of trusting the scheme, trusting the concept, and knowing, hey, they have an extra hat, but I'm still going to read it anyway. I need to see if they're going to give me a free hitch. They give me a free hitch, we need to go. So I got countless examples of both, of us being able to hit both. You can see, right, there's a really clean look at kind of the zone lead type scheme we have called up front, right? But they give us the free hitch. Look how quick and decisive our quarterback is getting the ball out. There's our hitch seam, right? And now we've got, really a first down on 1st and 10. We got about a 13-yard completion off throwing a hitch. That's every quarterback and coordinator's dream, right? Is banging a hitch for a first down for about 13 yards. Here's another good one again in 23, right? Where I think this is a really good in particular, right? 3-over-2 on both sides, 3-over-2. That's about as clean as you get, but this doesn't work if he rushes it maybe like he did in that second one. He probably doesn't go for a touchdown. He probably gets tackled. But the fact that he really took his one-step timing, right? He's looking for his quick game. He's looking, did they give me the hitch? He realizes they don't. Well, because that times up so well, we got backs turned all in the secondary. Nobody sees him. We have that back leading for the mic, right? And we kind of walk into the end zone, kind of in a big moment there, right? So you're going to see this is a really good look. But again, tying back to our earlier point, right? Again, for up front, for offensive line, at least for in this situation, from the right guard through the left guard, or the right tackle through the left guard, it's very, very similar to inside zone, right? It's really not all that different, right? So now our book of knowledge at defeating certain pressure stunts twists is greater than their book of knowledge running them, right? And I think that is why our guys have been able to have so much success with stuff like this. And that's why we install it early, because it's a lot of same as type of stuff up front, and our offensive line coach absolutely kills it teaching it. And we got really good offensive line. It's a lot of fun. So again, I'm not going to take you through all 42 of these, but you're going to see this is just a myriad of us, either usually taking a hitch or a speed out, or kind of ripping one for, a first down. So it has been a very, very good play for us over the last few years. This year in particular with 22, this young man at quarterback, which I'm sure, like a lot of high school coaches, he was a multi-sport kid. He was an all-state lacrosse player. He wasn't the most just dead-eye accurate guy in the world, but my man, he could run. It was impressive, right? So this suited his skill set very, very well. So we averaged almost 10 yards of play on this. We were about 9.5 yards of play on this in 2022, and we used it often. We ran it at least 3 to 5 times a game, I would say. So, again, I won't beat a dead horse, but you're seeing a lot of the same stuff over and over, and it's been particularly effective for us, especially if you have a mobile, athletic type of quarterback. It really kind of, for lack of a better term, dumbs down the game for him. Hey, I'm either throwing a free hitch or I'm running the ball, right? And a lot of quarterbacks, especially at the high school, small college level, really kind of like that style. So,
all right, Coach. Earlier we talked about your explosives as well. Let's take a look at some film that you have drawn up here for us that shows us some of the ways that we can manufacture explosives by taking an example from maybe some of the explosives that you guys have ran over the last couple of years.
So this to us, right, is I'm kind of going backwards, but we'll start with this one. It's fine. This would be one of our more popular shot plays, right? When we're talking true play action, again, based upon inside zone, right? Based kind of an inside zone type of look, right? We'll talk with the routes, and then we'll go to the tight and go to the offensive line play here, right? For my boundary side one, he's running a big boy post. Like, dude, you got to go win. You got to go beat the corner, right? You got to stem to 12, get on his toes. I want you to get 30 to 35 on the near hash, aiming for the middle of the uprights, right? You are running a route winning touchdown post, Okay. Number to the field side, number one is running a big 14 to 15-yard dig. He becomes third in the progression, depending on our eye progression there, right? Our number two is running just our classic deep over route, right? He's going to go underneath one and over top of two, right? Like I'm sure a lot of people have in the country, right? But this becomes particularly effective with us because this would be a base formation for us. You asked about kind of earlier offensively what we looked like. This would be like day one install offense or formation for us, right? Tight end in the hip, 11 personnel. So we want to be able to do everything out of this formation, right? So under one, over two from the field side two. My boundary side one tight end, he's going to chip flat to be able to be our check down. Our quarterback very simply is reading that boundary safety. Okay. He is selling the play action hard, right? What does that mean? That doesn't mean I need you to stick the ball in the belly of the back super hard, right? But I need level change, right? I need your chin down, right? I need the top of your helmet sinking. I need level change. I think that is the quickest way to trick linebackers, trick safeties is when you see level change, right? It doesn't matter where you put the ball in his gut if you're standing straight up, right? So I need level change. I need a great fade from the back, right? We're going to 2-3. We're going to read that boundary safety. If that boundary safety is the stress guy, if he is in the way of the post, we are going to work down to that deep over who's aiming for 25 on the sideline. Okay. And we are throwing that layered throw at 25 on the sideline in between numbers and sideline. If that boundary safety works down, bites on the play action fake, we're throwing the post, right? It is my boundary receiver's job to beat the corner. The quarterback should not take into account in that corner. That is my boundary receiver's job. If he can't win on the post, I need a new route runner. But quarterback, if you're late on the throw, I need a new thrower. Right? If we're all doing our job, it should look very clean, very crisp. It should look like this. Again, really well done from our offensive line here, right? This is our zone, right? Kind of full zone. We lock it on the backside, right? That becomes really popular when we're running. You saw it kind of in the quarterback draw world there as well, right? This kind of becomes pretty effective as far as what we're doing in the play action world there. We're going to chip flat on the front side there. From the left guard to the right tackle, everyone's responsible for their gap to their play side, right, with eyes on who they would double team to an inside zone, right? Our backside tackle's locked in. This is an excellent job by our back, right? Our back here sees that's his blitz protection responsibility, so therefore he aborts the fake. We always tell him, listen, protection over fake. If you have immediate threat to the quarterback's back, you need to go now. I don't care about the fake at that point, right? So the quarterback kind of looks dumb here because he's faking to nobody. Doesn't matter. At least he's protected. Nice clean throw kind of in that alley, and we're up the sideline. Similar concept here, similar way, right? We actually, in 22 and 23, I would say we hit the post more, where this year, for whatever reason, we hit the deep over. It seems to be more, right? So again, boundary one post, field side two is running under one over two, field side one's running that dig. We have a chip flat to the left, right? And our back has that play action fake in the zone. He steps through the B gap and he's flat to the right. So we should be nice and layered, right? We should have deep left covered, right? Intermediate right covered. We have deep O coming, the deep over coming underneath, right? And we have two flat threats underneath. So we're nice and spaced out on the field like we should be, right? Really good read by our quarterback, right? Understanding, okay, they go to one high. So as soon as they go to one high, that middle safety is your read. He didn't feel where we were at on the field that he could get it over that middle safety, right? So he hangs on, and that deep over kind of comes in that nice soft spot, and he makes a nice clean throw. As we go to the tight, right, you can see here very cleanly, very effectively. Again, this is why I love this protection. I love inside zone play action protection because you can sell it hard and it's very clean. I mean, this is really, really well done by our offensive line. Man, they just have so much confidence in it, and they're so sound in it that you really are going to have to beat them in a one-on-one technique type of play more so than like a schematic twist stunt thing, in my opinion. So that becomes really particularly effective there. Good job. Given a little bit of help from the tight end, but not a ton. I hate when our offensive line coach hates it too, right? And I kind of got it from him. When tight ends give too much and it knocks the tackles off their track, like what's the point, right? Give them enough just to help them a little bit, but don't do the test for them, right? Just like give them a little bit. And then lastly, right, this, again, actually the same exact protection, just without the chip flat. right? This kind of became a real banger for us over the last couple of years because number 13 was a particularly talented young man. He was an All-American this year, consensus All-American, 5 different publications. Had him as a first-team All-American. He's playing professionally in Europe right now, in Finland, Spain, and then Finland. So really, it's just that hard play action sell, right? That inside zone play action protection, right? The same thing that we've talked about time and time again, right? But when you're able to effectively run the football, right, those linebackers now do have to be aware whether they fly up in the in their gap or not. That's not really the point. The point is we're displacing linebackers and we're getting to have dirty eyes, right? Because once they have dirty eyes, you can see, right, their brains everywhere. All of a sudden, man, I didn't get a reroute. I don't really know where the ball is. I don't know where the routes are behind me because they were so excited to see inside zone and go fill their lane, right? Now we can sneak people in behind them, right? This is just good old-fashioned 4 verticals, right? We have a field side conversion from 2, right? But our number 3's taught, hey, 16 to 18 opposite hash, but we will run out of the play action set. I just need you to get over the top of the mic. I need you to win. Don't overcomplicate it, right? Like go find an empty spot and go win. Quarterback hard play action sell. This one in particular, I don't need you to 2-3. I need you to hard play action sell and pop up and be ready to lace that thing over linebackers, right? And that became particularly effective for us this year because it's a super simple play. And to tell you the truth, it's a super simple read and throw for the quarterback because it's like right over the top of him, right? Generally, you're more accurate right over the top of you because the throw's shorter. So, but again, you can see the protection here, right? Not the best job in the world from 75. He kind of gets sucked in too much, right? He's got to trust his buddy a little bit more, right? But you can see it's the exact same guys, and the eyes are the exact same place they would go in inside zone, right? Just with the lock kind of situation on the backside, which means that back would be responsible for the mic. So,
all right, last thing, Coach, I'm going to ask for you, and then again, really appreciate your time here with us, and I'm super excited again to kind of share this with everybody else, and but also at the same time, super excited to watch your guys' offense evolve over the next couple of years. But the last thing I want to touch on here is that fast motion that I've seen you guys employ as I've watched some film for you guys. So tell me a little bit about what's this fast motion that you guys employ all about, and how do you use it here with some film?
This has become a little bit of a thing for us, right? That we, quite honestly, we're going to carry into every game, right? We're going to make sure the defense has a plan for it, right? And we're going to have plans to attack whatever their plan is, right? And it's a little bit different, a little bit unique, right? I know a lot of people do what we call fast motion, right? Or jet motion, whatever you want to call it, fly motion. We're just a little bit unique that we like to do it to the boundary. Doesn't mean we don't do it to the field. We just like doing it to the boundary, and we won't necessarily always give it to our speed guy, right? The guy that you're going to see take this ball more often than not was that All-American tight end who's about 220 pounds. Not that you always got to do it with a big guy, right? It's just that he was really good with the football in his hand. So it was a cheap way for us to get a touch on a young man who sometimes was double teamed a lot, quite honestly. So I think that is where it started fitting in the game plan for us a little bit was, hey, we need to find a way to make sure he gets touches because that was how he got going, right? Well, we don't have to throw it to him all the time. Let's hand it to him, right? So this is a really good look at this. This was actually a few years ago. We've kind of evolved from this now. We actually read it, right? So this one was an influence, right? We're just trying to influence the linebacker. So he's lost right there. You can see 44, seeing guard pull, right? But also like from this perspective, you have to determine who has the football, right? We can even do that right there without knowing 13 had the ball. That's really, really difficult, right? Now we're doing it in a situation where our quarterback's reading it based upon if somebody's in that backside alley or not. We're giving him that freedom to have a little bit of a two-way go there, just so teams can't get a beat on us. But this is kind of where it started, right? And then obviously being able to fake motion this, fake jet this, and then hand the ball from the inside with this kind of guard wrap or even with a counter type of scheme has become particularly effective. One thing that I will note when we do this, right, before I move on to the next one, we have a million different ways to block this. In this one in particular, that tight end takes that overhang back, or I guess I'm more or less referring to that boundary side receiver, right? Sometimes we'll block the corner, sometimes we'll block the safety, sometimes we'll give him the choice, right? The point being is that ball carrier has to be very in tune with who the extra is, or who are we not blocking, right? Here's a great look at example here. We're telling him to go crack the safety. Well, that means the corner's free, right? Well, what that means, ball carrier, is, hey, guess what? You might have to break a tackle a little bit sooner, right? You might be, hey, that guy might be on you. But if you break that tackle, everybody's blocked, right? Where, hey, if the corner's blocking, the safety's free, right? You might feel like you're running the alley for 6 or 7 yards before you have to make somebody miss. It's just awareness on when you're going to take on that defender that's trying to tackle you. So you can see that was particularly fun, right? This is a little play action set we have where we sneak that running back out of the backfield. We run a post from the boundary one, right? We sneak that back out of the backfield because he typically goes and blocks out in that alley, or not typically. Sometimes he goes and blocks out in that alley, and then we slip him up the sideline for a wheel. That was a fun one that week. That one really I was trying to show you, but that was a particularly fun one. Let me get to one where we're a little bit more where we've kind of worked to. And I'm sure you could edit this out. Let me see here. Oh yeah, and that's throwing it off of being able to throw the ball right. We get into play action stuff. We do this enough where, hey, if we know we get in this formation, right? I guess this is the point where we do hang out in this formation a decent amount, right? It's a good way to run the football where you invert on that Sam so you can block and you don't have to read them all the time, right? We also get to our fast motion out of this, to tell you the truth, where we can hand the ball off without letting them get to their checks, right? This could be a great way to get a touch on a cheap touch on a receiver to make sure he's in a one-on-one situation, right? Because there's so much window dressing, there's motion, there's people in front of the quarterback's face, right? There's so you can see these outside backers, they're so keyed in on the motion. Everyone's so triggered that it can be a very clean, simple out route throw to our best receiver there, right? And he can get a freebie and kind of get up the sideline. So here's another good look at it, right? You don't always have to fake or influence or read. Sometimes it's better just, hey, let's just get on the perimeter and go, man, right? Like let's, whether that be inside zone to the field and read it, whether that be outside zone and go to elephants on parade. Sometimes it's good just to hand the ball off, right, and get on the perimeter. Now it doesn't always have to be tricky, right? Sometimes it just has to be effective. But that's a pretty dang good look at it there from our guys. And then kind of getting back into the play action set again, right? We took the back to the boundary wheel. That was particularly effective, right? Now we're taking the back out to the field side flat, right, off of that motion. Again, the set is not difficult. If you just do one or two things out of it, it's about layers, just like right the first part when we talked about the inside zone and the RPO and the play action. If you have layers off it, I do think it becomes difficult to defend if you're just doing one thing out of it, right? A team can have a plan for it, but you need to have all these tools, all these bullets in the belt, if you will, right, to be able to make sure that you're taking advantage of whatever they're giving you, right? It's a really good look, right? Fake to the backside, get the ball out to the flat. You see them do this in the NFL a decent amount, and then giving the guy the ball in space. Here's kind of the base look at it one more time here. We don't time this motion up particularly well, right? But this formation, we'll do it out of detached, right, with that slot out here, right? Or we'll do it out of attached with kind of that slot here in the 1x1, right? It just depends what your flavor of the month is, right? Sometimes, we like going out of this formation because it doesn't allow the defense time to get to their checks because this thing is so quick, right? We get the ball in the perimeter pretty quickly there. Like that's a pretty good look at it, and we're on the perimeter before we know it. Right. Also, what it does, it condenses our field side receiver and it makes the field side corner cover if you're ever in a situation where you want to attack that field side corner, like we saw a couple plays ago. Right. As we all know, in high school and small college, the field side corner typically is a guy that doesn't get attacked a ton just because it's hard to, just drop back and throw an isolation route out there. Anytime you can get into a condensed set and make him cover, we feel like that's advantage offense just because he doesn't get tested that much, to tell you the truth. So we can go from the tight here and see it one more time. No tight. That's all right. We'll do it from this tight because that's another good one where, again, you saw the difference there. That last one, we blocked the corner and ran on the safety. This one, we're cracking on that safety and running on the corner. You can use whatever concept you want out of this, right? This is one that we did read, right? Our quarterback didn't feel like that safety took away the alley, so he handed the football off. where if they would have rotated pre-snap and 20 would have went down in the alley, we're going to go ahead and hand off counter GT and we'd be in a good situation there. Right. So just, I always like to do this, like pause it right there when we're at the mesh point. Like we got 80% of our offense like in between the goalposts. I just don't know how a linebacker deciphers who has the football. Is it this guy? Is it here? Are you reading guards? Are you reading backs? I think it's just, again, it's not everything. It's just a wrinkle that we're going to go into with every game plan to make sure that a defense has a response to it, right? And then we're going to have a response based upon that. And as you know, everybody's looking for a set, different set kind of every week. This is one we're going to carry in, and depending on the week, get some mileage out of, whether it's 3 plays, whether it's 10 plays. It can just be particularly difficult on teams. So, especially this is a good look, right? I guess a point to everyone. If you start getting press quarter, you asked about the quarters coverage earlier. If you're getting press quarters on the outside, I would venture to say never block a corner, right? An inside release, look at them both like they think it's they think it's a route, right? So if you release inside, the corner kind of blocks himself. You can go pin the safety, right? And you can get on the perimeter pretty quickly there. That's another way to attack those quarters, especially if you're playing matchup press quarters. I would never block a corner. I just go in at safeties the whole time because there's really no point. The corners are going to block themselves. So
Both.